Hey everybody, and welcome to another trading education video. I've got a quick one for you today on how to draw the Fib extension tool. I did a video just a couple of days ago on using the Fibonacci retracement tool, which we use when price is retracing to determine where it could bounce from. Well, the Fib extension tool is used to determine when price breaks out above a previous swing top, where that price action could go to and where we might anticipate resistance, which if there's more price action on the chart, assuming we're not in a blue sky breakout, we can also use previous levels, the VRVP, and this is just another tool to help you orient where you could expect a turnaround. Whenever we're coming into these resistance levels, we obviously want to look at previous price history, assuming we have that, and also things like the RSI and mean reversion. If we're getting into a resistance level and RSI and mean reversion are very near the top of the range or already way overbought, then you know that that resistance level may reject, so the RSI and mean reversion can reset, and then you can attempt a breakout again on another swing when those levels maybe aren't as overheated. So let's get into the charts. This will be a real quick one. Okay, here we are on the Solana chart on the daily time frame, and someone is asking me in a TA education class on Saturday how to draw the Fib extension tool. They understood the Fib retracement tool, but didn't understand Fib extensions. And just like Fib retracements, we're working off swings. So we have a swing here, major swing, major swing, major swing, and now we're in our next swing, which, if we're continuing in the uptrend, is ideally going to break this previous top here. If we break into a downtrend, then we would have a lower high and we need to reassess our thesis. But right now, we're assuming that this uptrend is going to continue. So where do we anchor our Fib extension and Fib retracement tools? Well, we want to go off of major swings. So if it's a Fib retracement from the all-time highs to the low, you have a swing high and you have a swing low here. So as we covered in the last video, that's where your Fib retracement goes, and those are your major levels. So we have 50% overhead at 195. But now we want to apply the Fib extension tool, and we're wondering where the price action could go right here. Well, we're looking at recent swings. So we have our recent swing high that we need to break, and we have our swing low. These are our main points for anchoring the extension, but we need to also anchor where we came from on that last swing low right here. And so what we'll do is we'll go to the Fib extension tool. It's the third tool down, hold down, then the first is the retracement, then the trend-based Fib extension. And so we're going to pick 0.1, and then our high right here, 0.2, and you'll see we get our levels, but we're not done. Then we have to anchor it to this low right here, which is 0.3. Now we have our extensions, and the most common levels to expect a move to go to would be the 100% extension, the one right here, so that puts us at 218. And then after that, it would be the 1618 level, which is at 276. And I'm not saying that's going to be the all-time high for this bull market. I'm just saying that's where we can anticipate a little bit of cool off, and then we will continue on again, and you can draw that Fib extension again onto the next swing that we have down the line. Now this can work on any time frame, and if you double click on the Fib extension tool, it will give you all these levels. Like I said, I draw in the 1.5 level here, which isn't on by default, and I just like to add that because the 100% and then the 150% extensions can often be levels that you expect to tag. So that's just one thing I like to do. And this can work on any time frame on smaller swings. You just want to pick those major swing tops and bottoms. And to sharpen this up with another example, let's bring up Bitcoin. Here we have Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. So this is going all the way back to 2017. And I just want to illustrate how this can be used on really large time frames as well as smaller time frames that we were just looking at on the daily. So if we're looking at a major swing low to a major swing high right here in the last bull run, and then the low being our bear market, we can also project Fib extensions off of that. So we would have the low here, the high right here, and then our bear market bottom as our three anchor points. And you might be wondering, well, why don't you anchor off of this? Well, we want to take the lowest point between the past two peaks. So the lowest point is obviously right there. So again, we'll go to the Fib extension tool and we'll draw our low to our high, then anchor that to our low right there. And as we move up the chart and see where those levels are, wouldn't you know it, we said the 1618 is the most common target for a move out of the bottom, and we seem to be getting right into that right now at 123,500. I've drawn this before actually, and it came in at 121,500, so I might just be a little bit off on my points here, but for all intents and purposes, we are into that pocket right now. So this is most likely why you hear a lot of folks predicting that Bitcoin's going to go to 120K next. They're using fib extensions like this, and just for fun to see the ultimate fib extension here, that would take us to 300,000 again. Before it was right below 300,000 when I was doing this earlier, and I was probably just a little bit more accurate with my levels. The last thing I'll just say on this is that you want to look at the price action to see if it makes sense with these fib levels to determine if you've drawn it correctly. And right here on Bitcoin, you can see how our first 236 level played resistance. Then we got above this next level, played support. Then we actually had one wick up to this next level, and then it played support for us on these wicks down. Again, resistance, a bit of resistance here. And then even this 80,000, as we dip back down, we did get a bit below that, but you could argue that that was support. And now, ideally, if we get above these next levels, perhaps, the 123,000 isn't our target, but we get up to the price targets we discussed in Friday's video, if that's way too high, of 136,000. And then we find some support right there before continuing on with our next move, which hopefully goes that way. All right, so that's it for the fib extension tool. It's really easy to draw. The trickiest part is identifying the swing highs and the swing lows in the chart. But remember, just look for the highest point in the price action and the lowest point in the price action as your anchors, and you should be good to go. Hope that helps your technical analysis and your trading setups. Bye for now. This isn't financial advice. Past results are not indicative of future performance. Do your own research.